Hey guys, I know a lot of you guys been waiting for this corset top video, and I'm so happy that it's finally here. This is another in-depth tutorial, so I hope that it will be easy for everyone to follow. If you have any question or any requests, feel free to comment down below. Now, I hope you enjoy your crochet time with this project. For this project, we're going to use yarn in category number 3, DK yarn, and we're going to need around 150 to 250 grams of yarn, depending on what size you will be working on. In case you are planning to make a multiple color top, I will now instruct you on how to calculate the amount of yarns you need to buy for each colors. Here you can see that the top has 4 main parts, 2 cup pieces and the 2 belly pieces. Each piece, it's like this. And these 2 pieces take the same amount of yarn. So that 4 parts with the same amount of yarn. And we will count these bones and edging and strap and the lace at back as another part with the same amount of yarn. And so to calculate colors, you will take the total amount of yarn on the size you work on and divide it to 5 to calculate the yarn. So for example, size small, take 150 grams of yarn. You're going to divide that to 5 and you have 30. So each of these cup piece take 30 grams of yarn. Each of this belly take 30 grams of yarn. And these bones, edging, straps, and the lace up back take 30 grams of yarn. From that, you can easily plan and calculate the colors of yarn for your project. Okay? Next, the most important, you're gonna need the 4.5mm crochet hook. And then the second important things are clippers. You're gonna need 3 clippers like this. It's gonna be very useful, so make sure that you have this, okay? It doesn't have to be too big. It just needs to be big enough to clip 2 pieces of crochet fabric together like this. Okay? And then as usual, you're gonna need scissors and yarn needle to weave the ends in. And that's it. Okay, so first we're gonna start with a number of chain that our size tells us to. To make a chain, first you need a slip knot. And to do that, you hold your yarn like this. This is the tail of your yarn and this is your working yarn. You're gonna make a loop with 2 of your fingers like this and then pull this working yarn through that loop and tighten it. This is your slip knot, okay? Now put the slip knot on your hook, close it close to the size of the hook. Now the loops on your hook should always stay close to the sides of the hook. It shouldn't be too loose and shouldn't be too tight that it's hard to work with, okay? So to make chain, you simply yarn over and pull through. Every time you yarn over and pull through, you make a chain. I'm working on a size small, so my chain will be 11. This is 10 chain, and the last chain, the pattern tells you to loosen it up. So you're gonna make it a little bit bigger than the other chain, okay? So normally it will be like this, but you're gonna loosen it up a little bit like this, and then yarn over, pull through. The last chain will be a little bit bigger than the other. And you don't need to understand it now. I will explain why we should loosen the last chain later, okay? Now follow the pattern. For the first row, we're gonna work our first double crochet into the 3rd chain. So this is the first chain that will loose up, the second chain, and this 3rd chain. You will see that each chain shaped like little V's. This is the bottom loop and this is the top loop. So we're gonna insert our hook right under this top loop to place our first double crochet. Now, you're always gonna have 1 loop on your hook to start with. So to double crochet, we yarn over. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're gonna insert our hook into this 3rd chain under this top loop and then draw our loop to have 3 loops on our hook, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops on your hook to be back with 1 loop, okay? that's your first half double crochet. And because we are working on a flat surface, the chain 2 would be counted as a double crochet. So this is the first double crochet we work in, and this is the chain 2, count as 1 stitch. So this is 2 stitch you have on this round, okay? Now on our next round, we're gonna work the same, yarn over, insert your hook into the next chain under the top loop, draw our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then repeat that. Until the end of this chain. Okay, I have 1 chain left to work in. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now follow the pattern. We're gonna chain 2, and you can see that next to the chain 2 there's a term, the LUAC, and that's what I made up to remind you that for this pattern we always gonna loose up the second chain. So chain 1 as normal, and then the chain 2 you're gonna loosen up the chain 2. It should be 2 times bigger than the normal chain, okay? So pull through like that. You can see here that it's about 2 times bigger than the normal chain, okay? And you don't need to understand why now, but I'm gonna explain it later, okay? And then we're gonna turn. On our second round, you can see on the pattern that we're gonna work double crochet into the second stitch and then into each stitch across until the end. So because we count this chain 2 as a double crochet, we are not going to work in this first stitch, and we're gonna skip that and move on to the next, okay? You can see that on top of each stitch there's a V, so this is the second V, and we're gonna insert our hook right under this V like this to place our stitch, okay? So you double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook right under the V, draw our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, okay? Now we're gonna repeat that until the end of this round, and meet me right here in the end. I will show you what to do, okay? Okay. Now at the end, you might think that this is your last stitch, but we actually count this chain 2 as a stitch. So this is not the last stitch. We're gonna work in that. First, a double crochet, and then this chain 2 will be our last stitch. And here on the second chain of the chain 2, you will see a little hole under this 2 top loops here, and that's where you want to insert your hook to place the last stitch. And this is the reason why we should loosen up every second stitch of the chain 2, because if you don't loosen it up, this hole would be very small and it will be very hard to insert your hook, okay? So you yarn over, insert your hook right into this hole under the 2 loops of the second chain, and then draw our loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. Okay, now to finish the round, again you're gonna chain 2 and loosen up the second chain. 1 and 2. Okay, now turn your work. On our third round, you will see in the pattern that we're gonna work 2 half double crochet into the second stitch, okay? So again, this chain count as a stitch. So we won't work in this first stitch, we're gonna work into the second stitch. And follow the pattern, we're gonna work 2 double crochet in the same stitch. So you yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2. that's one double crochet into the stitch, and then the second one into the same stitch. Okay, and then you're gonna double crochet into each stitch across until you have 2 last stitch, and here is the 2 last stitch. This chain count as the last stitch. Okay, you can see here that because we loosen up the chain, we can see this hole very clearly. That's where we're gonna insert our hook to place the last stitch. Okay, so double crochet across. Okay, now I have 2 stitches left on this round, and follow the pattern. We're gonna work 2 double crochet into the same stitch that next to this last stitch, which is the chain 2, right? So 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and then double crochet in the last stitch. Okay, see this hole? That's where you want to insert your, you have to yarn over first, insert your hook, draw out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then again you're gonna chain 2, loosen up the second chain, turn your work, and on our 4th round we're gonna work double crochet into the second stitch and each across until the end. And this is 2 last stitch, working this one, and then this last stitch, which is the chain 2, yarn over, insert your hook, draw out a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, and then we're gonna chain 2, loosen up the second chain, turn our work, and from row 5 to row 8 we're gonna repeat pretty much the same process, so follow the pattern that I put on the screen. I'm in the end of row 8 and I have 2 stitches left to work in. I'm gonna do that. Okay, and this last stitch, which is the chain 2, you can see that we loose up the second chain, so it's really easy to see this hole to insert our hook right there. Yarn over, insert your hook. Okay, and now we're gonna chain 2, loose up the second loops, and turn. Look at the rhythm pattern of row 9. You will see that we're gonna work 2 double crochet in the same second stitch, like this, and then another one in the same one, and then the same to the third stitch. We're gonna work 2 double crochet in there, okay? In the same stitch. And then we're gonna double crochet into each stitch across until we have 3 stitches left on the row. So this 1, 2, and this last stitch, which is the chain 2, okay? So we're gonna double crochet until this stitch. Meet me here right in the end of this round when you have 3 stitches left, okay? Okay, so here our 3 last stitch. We're gonna work 2 half double crochet into each of these 2 stitch, okay? So 1, 2 in the same, and then another one here, and then another in the same, and then double crochet into this last stitch. Okay, now chain 2, loosen up the second loops, turn our work, and on row 10 we're going to work double crochet into the second stitch and then each across until the end. Chain 2, loosen up the second chain, turn your work, and for row 11, 12, 13 and 14 it's going to be the same, so I'm going to put the written pattern on the screen. Okay, then I will meet you in the end of the 14th row. Okay, so this is the end of row 14. You can count your rows: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. I have 2 stitches left and I'm gonna do that. Okay, and now we're gonna chain 2, loosen up the second loops, and then turn. Okay. Follow the pattern of row 15. We're going to work double crochet in this second stitch, and then we're going to skip this next stitch and work in the stitch that is next to it. Okay, so you're still going to keep the loops on your hook close to the sides of the hook. Okay, yarn over, skip this stitch, work in the next, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And that's how it's like. Okay, and then just the same, skip this one, work in this one here. Okay, now you're gonna work double crochet into each stitch across until you have 5 stitches left on the row. Okay, so work until this stitch. Okay, we have 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna skip this one and work in the next one. So yarn over, draw our, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then skip, and then again skip this one and work in the last 2 stitches. Okay, now chain 2, loose up the second chain and turn. For rows 16 to 18 there won't be anything new, so follow the pattern that I put on the screen. Okay, this is the end of row 18 and I have 2 stitches left. I'm gonna work in. Okay, chain 2, loosen up the second chain, turn your work, and on row 19 we're gonna double crochet into the second stitch, and then skip this next stitch, work in this one. Okay, on this row we're only gonna skip 1 stitch on each side, so now we're gonna double crochet into each stitch until we have 3 stitches left on the row. Okay, this is 3 stitches left. We're going to skip this one and work in the 2 last stitch. And then this last one, which is the chain 2 And then again we're going to chain 2, loose up the second, and turn. Now row 20 gonna be the last row of this piece, and we're gonna double crochet into the second stitch and all across until the end, and I will show you how to bind off, okay? And now this last stitch, work in there as usual. And now to bind off, you're gonna chain 1 and cut and pull this, tighten it up, and that's it. Remember that you will need this tail to be a little bit long so that you can easily weave it in later, okay? Here is how the piece looks like. The number of stitches on the first row and the last row should be the same, okay? We're gonna need 2 of this piece, so go ahead, make another one before you move on with the video. Now we're gonna move on to our first belly piece, and again we're gonna start with a chain, so you need a slip knot. Put that on your hook, tie it up. Okay. Now make the number of chain that your size tell you to, okay? Remember to loosen up the last chain. Okay. Now when you have your chain, we're going to place our first double crochet into this third chain, okay? So this is the first chain that we loosed up, second and third. Yarn over, insert your hook, draw our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then double crochet into each chain until the end of this round. Okay, we're gonna chain 2, loosen up the second loop, and then turn. On this second round, we're gonna double crochet into the second stitch and across until the end. Okay, chain 2, loosen up the second loop, and turn. On our third round, we're going to work 2 double crochet into the second stitch and then double crochet into each stitch across until the end, and the pattern will be just the same until row 10, so follow the pattern that I will put on the screen, okay? Okay, this is the end of row 10, and you can see that one side it's straight and the other side open up like this because we only increase stitches on this side, okay? Now we're gonna chain 2 and loose up the second chain as usual, and then move to row 11. For row 11, we're first gonna work 2 double crochet in the same second stitch, okay? So 1 and 2, and then in the third stitch we also gonna work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, okay? And then we're gonna double crochet into each stitch across until the end. Okay. And then chain 2. Turn our work on row 12. We're gonna work double crochet into the second stitch and then each across until the end. Okay, chain 2, loosen up the second chain, and on row 13 there's nothing new, so follow the pattern for row 13 and 14 that I put on the screen. Okay, this is the end of row 14, and please don't forget to work your last stitch into this second chain, okay? Now you can see that the piece, it still have one straight side and then another side it's opening up. That it's because we only increase stitches on this side. And then for our 15th row, we're gonna increase stitches on both sides. So you're gonna see this straight line open up too, okay? Again, in the same, we're gonna chain 2, loosen up the second chain and turn. For row 15, we're gonna work 2 double crochet into the second stitch and then 2 double crochet into this third stitch. So 2 here, same stitch, and then 2 in the same next stitch, and then double crochet into each stitch across until you have 3 stitches left on the row, and I'm gonna meet you there, okay? Now that I have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna work 2 double crochet into each of the next 2 stitches and 1 double crochet for this last stitch. So 1 and 2, and then 2 in the same again, and then double crochet into this last stitch. Okay, chain 2, loosen up the second chain, turn, and from now on you won't have any problem reading the pattern. So just follow the pattern that I put on the screen and then bind off at row 20. So once you have 4 pieces like this, we're gonna move on and join these pieces together into one piece. And first I'm gonna show you how to join these 2 cups. You can see on this final piece that we have 3 joining lines right here, and it's also there as edging and bones of the top. So if you're planning on working this bone and edging in different colors, then this will be the point where you switch color of yarn. But if you are working a plain 1 color top, then it is absolutely fine to use the same color of yarn to work the edging and join line and bone lines like this one, even though I did mix rainbow skinny yarn into this. So yeah, in this tutorial I'm gonna use this yarn to work my joining line. So when you look at this piece, you can see that this tail, it's longer, right? This is gonna be the side of the top and this is gonna be the center. So here it's where you put these pieces together and join right here. So you're gonna put them together like this. The number of stitches on this row and this row are gonna be the same because these 2 pieces are exactly alike, right? And remember that this chain 2, this one and this one count as 1 stitch too. So here you can see this is the first stitch and this chain On this one, it's the first stitch, and that's where you want to join your new yarn in. I'm gonna insert my hook into this chain like this, the second chain of the chain 2, and then into this first stitch of the other piece like that, right under the V, right? And you're gonna pull your new yarn through those stitches like that. And now what you're gonna do is to tighten this new yarn like that. Okay, and again you're gonna insert your hook into the same 2 stitches and pull out a loop like that. Now we're gonna start single crochet to join this piece. You're gonna chain 1 like that and move on to the next stitch. You can see here, this is your next stitch, and you're gonna insert your hook right under the V on top of it like this, okay? And through this second stitch on the other piece too, this one, right? Draw out a loop to have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. That's the first single crochet to join these pieces together. And we're gonna do the same to all of these stitches. You're gonna insert the hook into the next stitch and then to the next stitch of the other piece, draw out a loop, yarn over and pull through. Okay, and keep doing that until the end. You can see here that I have 2 stitches left to work in. This one and then this last stitch. On this piece it's gonna be the chain 2. So insert your hook here and then into the second chain of the chain 2, draw out a loop, yarn over, pull through. And now to bind off, you simply chain 1, cut this yarn, leave a long tail to weave in later, and pull. Okay, that's our first joining line. Now we're gonna move on to the belly pieces. So on your belly piece, you can see that this line, it's kind of straight, and this one, it's more curvy. And here's where you want to join these pieces together. You put them here like this, in a way that these 2 straight line and these 2 curvy line are on the same side. Okay, so you don't want it to be like this, right? It's not symmetrical. You want it to be like this. And just the same way that we did with the cup pieces, we're gonna do the same with these pieces. We're gonna align stitch by stitch, and the number of stitches on this rows gonna be the same because these pieces are exactly alike. Okay, you can see here this first stitch, this first stitch, and this first stitch, right? On top of it, these are the V's. Insert the hook under the first V and the first V of the other piece. You want to pull this new yarn in there and then tighten. Then again, you're gonna insert the hook into the same place, draw out a loop and chain 1. Here we're gonna do the same as we did before. You insert the hook into the next stitch of the first piece and then through the next stitch of the second piece, draw out a loop to have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through. And just keep doing that until the end, and meet me right here at the end. I show you how it's like, okay? Okay, you can see here that I have 2 stitches left. This stitch and this chain 2 count as a stitch, right? You're gonna insert your hook into this next stitch and through the next stitch on the other piece. Draw a loop, pull through, and then on this last one, insert your hook as usual into the second chain of the chain 2, and on this one too, draw a loop, yarn over, and pull through. And now to bind off, you simply chain 1 and cut, leaving a long enough tail to weave in later. Pull, and that's how we done joining this piece together. Okay. Alright, moving on, we're gonna join these two pieces together. And you can see here that this is the straight line of this belly piece, and we're gonna join this side of the belly piece into this cup, and this curved line will be the bottom edge of our top, right? So you don't want to join them together like this. This curved line should not be here. This is the place for the straight line, okay? Alright, in this part, this clipper is gonna prove useful. With the first clippers, we're gonna clip the center together like this. You put these two joining line together like this, and then you clip it right here. Make sure that they at the same place, okay? Clip it here. And now we're gonna start with this side first. So you're gonna put these two fabric together in a way that these rows on these two pieces gonna stand right next to each other, row by row. This is the first row. You put them together, and this second row, keep them next to each other, and then clip it after about 4 to 5 rows right here, and then here too. Try to clip little by little so that it will be easier to work with, okay? So here, okay, like that. We're gonna start working on this edge and move on here later. So take your new yarn, and we're gonna start right here. You're gonna insert the hook right in this corner of the first piece, and then this corner of the next piece. Try to take only one loop on each piece, okay? So here, 2 loops from the 2 pieces, and then again pull this new yarn through that and tighten it up. Now what you do is that you're gonna insert your hook into the same place, draw our loop, and chain 1. From here again, we're gonna work single crochet to join these pieces together. And it's gonna be different compared to when we join this belly piece and this cup piece together. Here we work on top of the stitches, and the loops on top of the stitches are nice and neat. But here, we work at the edge of the stitches. You can see that these loops are all messy and different. So it's gonna be hard for me to show you exactly where to insert your hook. You're gonna need a little bit more confidence to make your own moves, but I'm gonna give you 3 important tips to get through this part easily. So the first tip is to find the closest next loops on each piece. And here I will take this loop. It's right next to where I insert my new yarn, okay? So I'm just gonna take it, and I'm gonna take the same loop on the other piece like that, and then we're just gonna work a simple single crochet, pull our loop, and then yarn over, pull through. Okay? And the second tip, it's not to work another stitch in the same place. So here you can see that this place where we just worked this single crochet still has a little bit of space, and you might wonder if you should work another single crochet in here. Then remember the second tip, move right on to the next loops, okay? I'm gonna move on to this next loops I see, and on the other piece, and that's it. Okay, now the last tip is to take only one loops on each piece of fabric. Sometimes it's gonna be hard for you to take one loop, like here, the next loop, it's kind of hard to take, and you might have to take 2 loops, but don't go more than that, okay? Don't take like a bunch of loops like this and work a single crochet. The stitch will be very big and it won't look pretty, so remember to take only 1 to 2 loops for each piece. Here, try to take only 1 loop on each piece and work another single crochet. And that's it. Just keep these 3 tips in mind, and with the help of these clippers, you're gonna get through this part in no time, okay? I will time lapse this part, and we will meet when we get closer to this clipper, and I will show you how I move my clipper, okay? When we get closer to this clipper, just get as close as you can. Now you can take it off. We're gonna move this clipper up a little bit so that we can proceed, and still try to keep this double crochet rows aligned row by row, okay? Like that. And keep moving on. Move these clippers up as you go. I'm gonna time lapse this part, and we will meet again when I get to this center, okay? When you get here to this center, there's actually no different. You just keep doing what you've been doing, but in case you need, I'm gonna show you how I do it, okay? So you're just gonna keep going, take the last loop you see until you get to this center, and then the other loop on the other piece, like that. Draw our loop, yarn over and pull through. These are the ends, and try to keep it in the back, okay? And then just move on to the next loop on the other side from the center, okay? Like this. And that's it. Just keep it going, and then when you get to the end, bind off, and I will meet you there, okay? After all, this is what it should look like, and if you successfully got to this point, you've got skill. And if you've been calling yourself crochet beginners, you are level up. I will now announce you intermediate crocheter. You've got skill, you can read pattern, you familiar with the most commonly used stitches, which are double crochet and single crochet, you create shape, and most of all, you've successfully worked the edge thanks to these clippers. Now let's move on. We're gonna work edging for this whole piece. And let's start right here, okay? Take the new yarn and insert it into this corner. Tighten it up. And you can see here that now we will work in the bottom of this double crochet stitches, right? So again, insert your hook in the same place where you join your new yarn, draw our loop, and then chain 1. Okay, now we're gonna start working single crochet into each foot of this stitch. And here you can see this is the first double crochet stitch, right? You're gonna insert your hook right here, draw our loop, yarn over, and pull through, and then move on to the next one just like that, and then keep going and I'm gonna show you what to do when you get here, okay? Okay, when you get closer to this joining line, let's finish this one, and then you're gonna move on right to the other side of this line, okay? Like that. And like so, do the same thing that we did before, and I'm gonna meet you right here in the end, okay? Okay, when you get here at the end, we're gonna again work the edge for the side of the stitches. And there's nothing new, you're just gonna follow the 3 tips that I showed you before when you work this joining line, and everything's gonna be fine. Just take one loop at a time, don't work another stitch in the same place, and try to find the closest next loop you see, don't move too far away. And that's it. Okay, now I'm just gonna insert my yarn into this corner. And then I'm gonna work another single crochet row on top of this single crochet row that I already did. So insert your hook into the same place where you insert your new yarn, draw a loop, chain 1. And now we're just gonna single crochet into each of this stitch until we get to this corner. And here, when you get to this corner, you work the last stitch and then bind off. Okay. And now we're gonna do the same to the side of this top, except that we're gonna work more rows of single crochet for this part to create the lace up back, okay? So again, insert your new yarn into the corner. Insert your hook. Draw our loop, chain 1, and then just single crochet into each of this stitch until you get to this corner, and I will show you what to do there, okay? Okay, this is gonna be my last stitch of this row, and then we're just gonna chain 1 and turn our work. And now because we are working single crochet, if you're familiar with it, unlike double crochet, the chain 2 will be counted as a stitch. The chain 1 when we work single crochet won't be counted as a stitch, and that's why we won't skip this first stitch and work right in there. Here. Just like that, and then keep going. We're gonna need a number of single crochet row on this part, and this number will depend on what size you are working on, so follow your size instruction that I put on the screen. And then meet me right in the end of your last row. Okay, because I'm working on size small, I only need 3 rows of single crochet. If you are working on a bigger size, you're gonna need more rows, okay? So once you finish these rows of single crochet, you're gonna chain 2, turn your work, And this is gonna be the last row of this part. We're gonna work double crochet into each of the stitch, and just as before, the chain 2 on the double crochet count as a stitch, so we're gonna work in this second stitch. And then all the way until the end. Here I'm just gonna work the last stitch, and then we're gonna bind off, and do the same to this side. Now we're gonna make the strap for the top, and I'm just gonna insert my yarn into this stitch right here, which is row 10 from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right in the end of this row 10. You can insert it right here just like me, or you can try the top on your body and determine where you want to insert the strap. You might want it to be closer to the center or to be closer to your armpit, and that is personal choice. Okay, and again we insert our hook and pull this new yarn through. Insert your hook in the same place, draw our loop, and then chain 2. Loosen up the second chain, just like how we did before with this double crochet stitches, because we're gonna work double crochet for the strap. Loosen up the second chain, and then work 3 more stitches of double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. If you want the strap to be thicker, you can work like a few more stitches, but I think this is enough, so I'm gonna chain 2, loosen up the second chain, and then turn. Now again, this is double crochet and we count this chain as a stitch, so we're gonna work in the second stitch. And then move on to the next, and then work the last one into this second chain of the chain 2. Chain 2 and loosen up the second chain again. And just like that, we're gonna keep doing that until the strap is about 18 inches long, or longer if you want. Now we're gonna create the strap loops at the back, because we want the strap to be adjustable, not permanently put on the top, right? Now if you plan to tie the strap around your neck, then you can skip this part. Again, you're gonna insert your yarn right under this last double crochet, and then you're gonna draw our loop and then make a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're gonna put this chain back into this place, single crochet into this, and then again work a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then single crochet into this same place right here, and then bind off. Now we have these loops to tie our strap in, like this. Okay, we're gonna do the same to the other side of the top. So when you insert your yarn for the other strap, remember that you're gonna insert your hook from the inside instead of the outside compared to this strap, right? Here is where we insert our yarn for this strap. So it's gonna be 10 row from the center, but because right here we're gonna insert our yarn from the inside. Okay, so here's the inside and here's the outside. We're gonna count 8 rows from the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, so that the strap lies symmetrically. Okay, if you count 10 rows from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then it's gonna be too far away. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna show you how to create the decorative bones on the belly, and we're gonna make 2 on each side, so that's gonna be 4. Now the first bones we're gonna put in this line, and it's 4 rows from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here is where you want to insert your yarn. You're just going to put it through, tie it up, and bring the end to the back of the top. Then insert your hook right where you insert your yarn. Chain 1, and then we're gonna single crochet into this line under this 4th row. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, so into this line. I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna put the first single crochet here, and then follow the line between this double crochet in the 4th row. 1, 2, 3, 4, like here, like that, and then keep doing that. Goes between the stitches in the 4th row. And then when we get to the end, we're gonna work in this last stitch, and here we're gonna slip stitch. Okay, insert your hook here, draw our loop, and then draw that loop through the loop on your hook, just like that it's a slip stitch, and then you chain 1 to bind off. Now you're gonna bring these ends to the back of the top to weave, and then weave it in later. Okay, and then we're gonna do exactly the same right here on this line. Okay, so this line, it's 4 rows from the center, and this line and this second line is gonna be 3 rows from this bone. So 1, 2, 3, we're gonna insert our yarn right here. Okay, now we're gonna need a string for the lace up back, and we're just gonna make a long enough chain, and it's just as simple as that. Just sit there and spend about 5 to 7 minutes to make a long chain. Once you have your chain, you can pull real tight on the tail and then cut close to it, so it's gonna look better. And on this side too. And we're gonna put this string here into this double crochet stitches to create the lace up effect. So I'm just gonna do this. We're gonna put it in like that, and then try to keep them even here like that. And then you're gonna bring it across like this, and then skip 2 space, 1, 2, and then pull it into the next space on each side. Do the same, skip 2 space, 1, 2, and repeat that until the end, okay? We're gonna move on to the last part and the most exciting part, which is weaving all these ends in. I know that this looks like a lot of work, but we came this far and we need to give this masterpiece a little bit of the luxurious last touch. And I'm gonna show you the proper way to weave these ends in. Let's start with this one. We're gonna put the ends into the needle. And then, instead of weave it in the straight line, in a straight line, we're gonna back and forth or up and down, okay? You're just gonna put it into these stitches. Stretch it out a little bit, and then you're gonna go back one more time. And then maybe go down like a little bit. And that's it. You're gonna stretch it out a little bit and then cut right here. And then let's do all these ends